Alright, let's go through this Ogive question together. This graph is a cumulative relative frequency graph, so every y value is telling us a percent, not a count. And the biggest mindset shift here is this. Every point answers the question, what percent is at or below this value? Keep that first in your head and everything gets easier. Part A says there's a point at 50 centimeters and 0.8. Since this is a cumulative relative frequency, 0.8 means 80%. So this point is telling us that 80% of the AP Statistics students have hair lengths of 50 centimeters or less. A really common mistake is saying exactly 50, but that's not what cumulative means. It's always up to and including that value. Let's move on to part B. Now, part B asks whether it's true or false that 90% of the students have hair lengths of at least 62 centimeters. So I want to be careful here because the Ogive gives us information about at or below, not at least. If I look at it 60 centimeters on the x-axis, the cumulative relative frequency is already close to about 90%. That means 90% are at or below 62, not at least 62. So that statement is false. In fact, only about 10% have the hair length greater than 62 centimeters. Okay, so let's move on to part C right now. Part C says the Ogive is perfectly flat between 90 and 100 centimeters and asks what that means in context. A flat section on an Ogive means the cumulative frequency is not increasing, which tells us that no new data values are being added in that interval. So in plain language, this means no students have hair lengths between 90 and 100 centimeters. So move on to part B. Part D. So now for part D, we're asked to estimate the median hair length. The median is in the 50th percentile. So I start on the y-axis is 0.5, move horizontally until I hit the curve. So it's approximately right here, which is correspond to 30 centimeters. So this is the 30 meters on the x-axis correspond to the 0.5 on the y-axis. So from the graph, that lands at about 30 centimeters, so the median hair length is approximately 30 centimeters. Okay, for part E, we're finding the interquartile range, or IQR. So remember Q1 is in the 25th percentile and Q3 is the 75th percentile, or 75th. So I go to 0.25 on the y-axis, hit the curve, drop down, and get about 5 centimeters for Q1. And then I do the same thing for 0.75. And that gives me about 45 centimeters for Q3. The IQR is Q3 minus Q1, so that's 45 minus 5, which equals 40 centimeters. Okay, so moving on to the last but not least part 5. Finally, this part asks us to sketch a box plot, and this is the concept that we're working on for all of the videos, like so far. One of the main concepts in AP Statistics. So we're told in this question the minimum hair length is 2 centimeters and the maximum is 102 centimeters. So now we have the full 5 number summary. And we know that mean is 2 and Q1 is about 5, median is about 30, and Q3 is about 45, maximum is about 102. And those are the numbers. A lot of them are from the previous question, so you can see that how the question is leading you toward the final question. It gives you a lot of information that you already done before, and then it's moving up to a next level that you put all of this together. So I draw the box from Q1 to Q3, put the median inside, and extend the whiskers to the mean and max. If I check for outliers using the 1.5 times IQR rule, Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR is 45 plus 60, which is 105. So the max of 102 is not an outlier. And same thing, if I check for the lower outlier, there's still not an outlier for this case, like Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR, there's no outlier for this. So wrap up for what we did in this video. The big takeaway with Ogives is this. They're amazing for percentiles, medians, and proportions as long as you always remember they show at or below and never at least.